Welcome. Thank you for being here. This morning, we're going to start, if it feels okay for you, start seated. So you can lie down or you can change position later, but just for this experiment, it'll probably be easier if you're seated. Hold on just a second. I'm going to turn this heater off. Okay. So make yourself comfortable. And just feel into your body. And in particular, feel into the front of your body in contrast to the back of your body. And just notice what you notice when you specifically bring your attention to one area and then the other. And of course, we are three-dimensional. We have sides, we are round and spiraling. But right now, let's just focus on front side versus back side. So take a moment and you might spend a few breaths with your attention on just the front and then on just the back, or it might oscillate. So just notice how it feels most natural to you. And then notice what you notice about it. And then you can soften that attention. Your eyes can be open or closed. So what I've been noticing, and it's been interesting even in these morning sits with you, what I've been noticing in my body is this tendency, the back of my body is really tight. And there's this kind of grip and push. And I am associating that with my very forward, all of my face senses going out, and looking and scanning and trying to be alert. And there's so much engagement, which in this case, I think translates often as tension, alertness, but not in a soft way, especially if we have to go out in the world to the store or something. So I'm feeling this very forward, and it's almost like a physical forward lean. And that might not be what you're feeling. What you're feeling might actually be more of sort of a sinking back. And that's expansion and contraction, right? We're going to go back and forth. We're going to be all the places in between. So really for either place where you might swing on that pendulum, we're going to do a little experiment in the body and energetically before we come into some quiet time. So maybe I'll back up and turn. So first thing, I'm sort of feeling hardness through here and this little bit of push. And again, it's like a lean. I feel myself leaning forward, like what do I need to look out for? And so for me, and you might just try this, no matter if that's not your pattern or not, just see how this feels. I'm going to imagine that my energetic boundary, just my vibrational boundary that we could call aura, we could call it a field in physics, whatever. I'm going to imagine that I could come in with my hands and sort of wrap around wherever I imagine that to be. And I could just hug it back in toward me a little bit. And you might do that a couple of times, and you might do it in different places. Like it might be more at your face, or it might be lower, like at your belly. And it's okay right now, even if that brings you into a little bit of roundness of the back, let that be okay. Just notice what it feels like, if there's even an imagined sense of, of experience when you hug that energetic field in. Like, what is that like to do that? It might affect your breath. Again, it might affect your posture. And then just be there, even if it's kind of slumpy, even if it's not your best yoga posture, just be there for a moment. And notice what that's like. Okay, so now we're probably all in this kind of slumpy, slightly rounded back position. And this might be where you reside a lot of the time. It might be kind of your comfort cocoon default in times like these. And that's perfectly fine. You know, that of course. So now let's play with finding a middle in between those extremes, because the balance of that is not coming back into this very popped forward physical posture. Instead, imagine, visualize a central column that runs through you like the core of an apple. And if you can connect with that idea that there's a core running through you like an apple core, and if you like, you can imagine pulling on your little stem. You could grab a couple of hairs, or you don't have to do that. It can just be in your imagination. And not coming forward and not leaning back, come straight up through your core, through your apple stem. And it might not be a ton of movement. It might be less movement than you expect. And especially if you've been feeling a lot of lean forward, kind of alertness, on alert, it won't be back to that place. So just notice where you've landed, where coming up through your stem, your apple stem, has brought you. And if you feel a little like, oh, I'm feeling kind of overexposed in the front again, come back and do that energetic hug. Bring it in a little closer. And you don't necessarily have to lean back or round back as you do that. It can just be energetically bringing it closer in. So this is kind of where we'll move into our quiet time. And this might be a moment where you're like, okay, well, now I really want to lie down, or I want to change my position altogether. Totally fine. Totally fine. So make yourself comfortable. And we've affected the energy, we've affected our posture, which will affect everything. It will affect the breath, it will affect the state of mind, it will affect your feeling of energy, being either energized or not. So, just notice how it is to live in this skin right now. Start by acknowledging, relating to yourself. And then from that deepened relationship with yourself, notice if there's a softening, if there's the opportunity to be more fully here. Maybe the shoulders release a little bit. Let the skin of the face get heavy. Let the bottom jaw loosen and make some space in the mouth. So if the tongue is on the top of the mouth, the roof of the mouth, let it rest down. Let it get wide. And the breath is completely spontaneous, its own natural, wise rhythm and depth and pace. As the fluctuations come and go here, the expansions and contractions of your attention, of your breathing, you might notice, I started to kind of lean forward. There was that feeling of wanting to know the things I can't know right now, or trying to see, trying to hear. The back got tight, or the pelvis, if you're seated, rolled way forward. If any of that happened, just rest back. Let yourself rest back. Maybe even lean an eighth of an inch back. And if you found, I'm feeling so heavy, the shoulders are rounding forward, I'm feeling slumpy, the breath is getting cut off, find your apple core. And even just by degrees, lift up through your stem. And maybe even as much as the physical posture, you might notice where your awareness is or where your attention is. And we could consider or think of the front of the body as being a little more reactionary and the back of the body as being a little more responsive. And so if you're feeling a lot of, you feel your energy is very forward, is very surface at the front. You might just invite that to rest back as well. And imagine what it would be like to have more senses in the back of your body. Like we have all of these senses here at the front in the face, but what if you had eyes in your back? Or what if you had your nose, nostrils, and they could see back, they could take in the information that's in back of you, but it also would be where you come from in front. So they'd just be more receded, deeper inside of you. So that's another way to play with it. Where is your attention? And can your senses come from deeper? Staying in more of that back body energy or more in that central core, central column of the apple energy, rather than just popping forward again. From there, from deeper inside of you, start to let the senses reawaken. Start to bring some movement in. You might notice that your breath changes. There's a deeper breath, or maybe you want to yawn and stretch. I'd love to hear how that was for you. You can share in the chat or in comments or in an email, michelle@itsallyoga.com. So lovely, so important to be together, so lovely to be with you, and sending a lot of like soft, resting back energy into your day. Take care.